Now we're going to move into modern, which is the Resurgent Era. So this is the Resurgent Era. So there's not a lot extra hugs. Thanks so much, Poison Ivy. Yeah, I need all the hugs after all that. After all the sadness, we'll go to the positivity. So yeah, now we're in the Resurgent Era, and that's from 2020 to now. We're only 5 years in. We still have a few more, or I guess technically we're almost through a sixth year. We're working through our sixth year currently. Um, and this really, I have gone on a binge of getting back into gaming. And some people might think it could be COVID. I started playing gaming a lot in 2020 just because we're spending a lot more time inside. And so I wasn't going out, I wasn't dating, I wasn't just socializing as much. And so I started gaming. And it kind of resurged a love. So the first thing for that was then in 2021, I picked up the first of one of the modern consoles, which is the Xbox Series S. And this was basically an updated, upgraded little version of the Xbox One. It wasn't as powerful as the Xbox Series X. This is the Series S. And, but it was a great console. Some things were, they had some updated things you could do on it. The controller had a better grip on it. The console itself was faster load times. It had quick resume, so you could pause one game, you could play another, and then you could come back. If you went back to the other game, it would pop right back up. It didn't close out your games, so that was really cool. I didn't have this thing very long, I'm not gonna lie, and there's a reason for that. But I got this in 2021, and it just was like a better version of the Xbox One. So, and then I also picked up a Nintendo Switch. So I finally came back to Nintendo after, basically 10 years. I myself hadn't purchased a Nintendo system in 10 years at this point, and I picked one up. I really wanted to understand. People had been talking about how Zelda Breath of the Wild was this amazing experience, and Nintendo is firing all cylinders, and they have all these killer games. And me being the naive person I was, coming from being a PlayStation and Xbox gamer, I did not realize that they don't put their games on sale in the same way, and it's not the same experience. And growing up, because I didn't keep with it, I didn't keep with Nintendo really for any of their main consoles past the late 90s. I didn't have the same nostalgia for their franchises. And so coming to things, I'm a 30-year-old man now going to go play, Mario, but I don't have the love for Mario as if I played it my whole life. Going and playing Donkey Kong, I didn't have the love for it as if I played it my whole life. So it just didn't hit. I'd moved on to other things that I'd felt were more adult and more reflected my interests. And so coming back to it, the main sort of franchise titles didn't interest me that much. But what I did love about it was the portability. I hadn't really had a handheld that I'd used in this regard for a long time. And so I was playing it everywhere. I was sitting on the couch playing it. Then I could plug it in and play with my family. I would play with my stepdad and my girlfriend, and we would sit and play racing games, and we'd play just silly party games like Ultra Food Mess and Boomerang Foo, and just lots of cool stuff. So it was a good system. I had a really great experience with this system, and I'm going to talk about that later when we get to the games list. But decent system, kind of underpowered by today's standards, even underpowered in 2021, but very cool. And I think it set off this sort of new blow up of handheld devices. So I'll give it its props there. And then in 2021, this is what really shifted everything, which is I got a PlayStation 5 for Christmas. I was gifted this from my my stepdad and my mother, and it really was quite frankly, I ended up selling both my Xbox Series S and my Nintendo Switch. I love the PlayStation 5 so much. I still have it. It's here in my office, and I've played a ton of games. I'd say through 2023, I had a really tough year. I lost my dog, and just it was just a stressful year. And really, that PlayStation 5 came in such handy for just getting the opportunity to escape into different worlds, different experiences, and it was just nice to turn to. I would go to work and come home, and it was just like this was the thing I looked forward to doing, and I've got to a lot of the series that I love now. I got to play through PlayStation 5, so that was a killer console, and it pretty much blew everything else out of the water for me at that time. Well, I thought it did, and then in 2022. Oh wait, 1 second. I lost my cat that year too, and totally wanting a getaway comfort. Well, I'm sorry that you lost your cat, and losing a pet is it's losing a family member. It's losing someone that we love, and it's difficult. It's not easy, and it's just like it's just someone like your family. You can't just replace them. You can get another pet, and they are their own person, but it doesn't replace the love that you have for this other one. And you try to find ways of coping, and you try to find ways of memorializing them and loving them even when they're not here. And in the bad moments, you find the things that can comfort you. And yeah, and that's what it was for me. I mean, that's what it was, a way to go in and experience art and music and narrative, and just like a book or a film, and get a little step away from your own struggles. You don't want to use it too much as escapism, but it's okay to utilize art as a way to process, to find things, relatable stories. I was playing a lot of games about loss, a lot of games about whether it was like romantic or things like that, and Call of the Sea, What Remains of Edith Finch. A lot of the games I was playing reflected, I think, what I was feeling. But I thought I was done with the Nintendo Switch, but apparently I was not. I had sold mine. Well, then I decided, you know what? I really want a handheld still. I like my PlayStation 5 a lot, but at the time I lived over an hour and a half away from my parents, from my sister, from family. So when I would go to visit them and I'd stay the night or whatever, I didn't have anything to play. So it'd be times where I'm just laying in my bed, I'm just on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I'd rather have something to play. And so I ended up getting into, it's actually how I should say, I didn't actually sell my Series S. I sold my Xbox One and my first Switch when I got my PS5. But then I didn't sell my Series X or Series S, sorry. I traded it. I traded it for a pair of Nintendo Switch Lites, and the gray one was the one I had, and I played it a ton, and I actually had it, I played a lot on it. I played a lot during that same period where I was living in 2023, and if I wasn't playing PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 5, I was playing the Switch Lite. So really cool system. I really actually have more fondness for the Lite than I have for even the original Switch. Even though there's really no difference outside of the Switch is more expensive, but it can be docked, so you can play it on a TV. All right. Holy smokes, folks. Look, we're already an hour into this thing. We haven't even got to the top 35 list yet. So I hope you guys are all buckled up. Make sure to get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack. I'm trying to sip more. I got myself a Yoo-Hoo, but I also have myself some water. Because old Benji is doing a lot more talking than he usually does. I talk a lot, but not usually uninterrupted. Let's see. I love that you've really played all different systems. I have. I've played a ton of systems throughout the years. There are a few that I didn't have listed here because I've only shown the ones that have either I have personally owned or that have been in my household. There are still systems that I did play that are just they're not in my household. They weren't, like the Sega Genesis. I had a family friend who had one, and I used to go over and play Sonic the Hedgehog on it, as well as a girlfriend that I had at one point. I Her brother had a PS4, and I played that once or twice. So there were some other systems that I played. I didn't own. So this is my own personal timeline of what was mine or in my household. So, all right, from the Nintendo Switch Lite, we moved to. This is a funny story. This one doesn't even really count, but it kind of counts. So I had asked for an OLED for Christmas, and I didn't end up getting it, so I went and just bought it. And I had a Switch Lite still, and I had the PS5, and I was like, everyone was getting big on how great the OLED screen was, and you got to get it, and it's so great. I got it. I played it for like 2 days. I was like, this is really not that special or that different for the money I've paid for it. So I returned it. And I brought it back to the store and I returned it and got my refund. So I did have an OLED for about 2 or 3 days, and then I returned it because why was I going to spend $350 on a Switch OLED when I already had a Switch Lite? I might as well, if I'm going to do that, might as well spend the $350 on games. Since there was no actual difference outside of the size of the screen and the OLED display. There was no interior difference. You weren't getting upgraded graphics. You weren't getting faster load times. Like, it just was pretty much the same system with just a better screen. So that was my quick jump with the OLED. And then I got a Steam Deck, and I still have this bad boy right here. And it's the green one. I have a green case on it. Let me bring that a little bit closer to the camera. There you go. Beautiful Steam Deck by Valve. This is my first foray into handheld PCs. You know, there's a few of them. Steam Deck's obviously the most popular, but there's also the Legion Go, and there's the I hope I'm saying that right. It's Legion Go. It's a Lenovo Go. I don't remember. But there's also the ROG Ally, and they're becoming more and more popular. There's supposed to be an Xbox handheld that is potentially coming out. Switch 2 is obviously dropping here in just a couple of days. So handheld consoles have become a thing. But the Steam Deck really introduced me back into the PC world, and I don't think I'd have a PC, and I don't think I'd be streaming right now if I didn't get this Steam Deck. So I got a Steam Deck, and I was able to go back and play so many awesome games from whether it's emulating old games or just getting all the cheap Steam sales or cheap third-party site sales, from Humble Bundle to Fanatical to Green Man Gaming and Instant Gaming. There's so many great sites, and you could get so many games for so less expensive than you can on a console, and you get it on the go. And you can also dock it, so you can play it on a computer screen or on your TV. So it's not the greatest in docked, but it's still a great experience nonetheless. And I still use it now. I'm actually been picking it up and playing it a lot more. I'm playing a game right now on it. And I'd say right now it's, outside of my actual PC, it's probably my favorite device that I have. So the Steam Deck is a great thing. And yeah. And then we got one more console thing, and we couldn't end without having another Nintendo Switch. Okay, so here's the deal. For a man who doesn't really love Nintendo, he has purchased 4 Switches, or has got 4 Switches in like 3 years. So this one I've had the longest. I've got a Switch back in Christmas of 2023, and pretty much I just wanted it because I wanted to be able to play some of the party games I had. I wanted to be able to play it on console, and I wanted to buy Breath of the Wild and play it on a TV screen. And so I bought a regular Switch. This one was packed with Mario Kart because I think I was thinking about getting the OLED, but the difference is they were both the same price, but the original came with Mario Kart. So I was like, well, I'll take the free game. I'm mostly going to play it docked. It's not going to make any difference if I'm playing it mostly docked. So the OLED screen isn't going to make a difference because it's going to be in its little port. So I got a Nintendo Switch. I got Mario Kart. I still have it. It's by my bed. I still play it occasionally. I don't play it much. Usually pull it out when I've got, you know, my sister and brother-in-law are over and we're hanging out, or with my parents and my girlfriend and things like that. That's the only real time I play it. But otherwise, it's a fun little device. I've got some games on it, and yeah. And then the final things, ladies and gentlemen, you know where we're going to end with this, which is what we're using right now, which is a PC. In January, I built my first PC, and I've pretty much fallen in love. This is definitely my favorite thing to game on. Just because there's so many other things I can do. I can game. I have two screens, so I can game on one screen. I can have other things on the other. You know, if I want to have tips or maps or other things up, walkthroughs, just things so I could really fully immerse myself in the thing. And it opened the way to also be able to stream and game and play with you guys and hang out. And really, that's the ticket for me. I think I have a couple things here. I have a couple. Yeah. So these are, so also with that, there's some 8-bit dough controllers, because 8-bit dough is a nice third party. Well, they're their own company, and they sell controllers that aren't from the main brands. And these are the three that I have. I have I think is it the NES or SNES 30 at the top, which I use for the Nintendo Switch, as well as the Pro 2, which is the center one, which I also use for the Switch. And then on the bottom there, that's the 8-bit dough ultimate controller, and that is what I use when I game on. I have it right here. That's what I use to game on PC. When I'm playing all my games here on stream, that's what I'm playing. So that is it. All right, folks.